What's funny about this song is I made it in like 15 minutes, 30 minutes. But it's one of the hardest songs for us to get right live. For whatever reason on that night, I was like feeling particularly funky and I just had the right feel. Hey, how's it going? I'm Kevin from Tame Impala, and right now we're gonna look at The Less I Know, The Better. It was basically just a demo that I recorded one night. I wrote it and I kind of fell in love with it. It was just like 30 seconds of music. This is the demo. Story is that I gave it to Mark Ronson, which is true. I just assumed that it wasn't Tame Impala because it was just different to anything that I'd been doing with Tame Impala yet. I was gonna put it on Mark's album. Mark was eventually like, dude, I think this is your song. He's like, I feel like I'm stealing your song. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, was also begging me to make it a Tame song. Everything that you can hear musically is basically a Roland guitar synth. Because I was in such a hurry to record it, I was like, oh my God, quick, like get this down before you forget it. Back then I was always just sort of like looking for new guitar pedals and sounds and stuff. And I loved how you could just get a million different sounds. Because I wasn't really much of a piano player back then. And it had sort of like strings, horns, all sorts of stuff. And so it was like just so great for making demos because you could just throw in different sounds. This is a bit more of a classic guitar synth sound. Okay, so the drums, I think I recorded them outside. The album before Currents Lonerism was like super washed out, recorded it in a room with zero acoustic treatment. It was all just blasted, natural room reverbs and stuff. And so a pendulum of me swinging the other way was like, I wanted everything to be sort of like tight and controlled, which is what that is. Mark Ronson always used to say that like I had a good way of hitting the snare. I think Uptown Funk has a sample of me hitting a snare when I was in the studio with him. I don't know, I've just got a good like... I'm quite fussy with the hi-hats too. Like nothing's less groovy than a hi-hat that's happening just too early. You know, it's got to be just sitting in just after the grid, you know? That's where the funk is. That's where the groove is. The Korg Kronos is this keyboard I've used since Currents on like every album. It's kind of like, it's like a Swiss Army knife. And it never gets talked about because it's like the least cool synth. I bought it because I was getting into sort of like Pharrell Williams and like Justin Timberlake. I wanted one of those like big sounding synths with like big sounding synth sounds. I also had this thing called one of those like old Roland synth module, JV 1080 or something. It was tiny. It was like making music in Perth, like especially back then. It's like you just get what you can get, you know? Especially for me, I didn't have a lot of money. It was just so hard to get gear. It's easier nowadays. It's way easier nowadays. When I hear this song, I'm in like a bar or whatever these days, I do regret mixing the vocals so low. I think for like a pop song, the vocals are quite washed out. They're quite sort of like classic Tame Impala-y. I think I loved how sort of Phil Collins-y it sounded. Had that 80s reverb kind of sound, which was what I was big into around doing Currents.
She was holding hands with Trevor, not the greatest feeling ever.
What I just realized about this song, pulling it up, is that there's not a single harmony. There would be the vocal double that I've mixed down there. That basically, like that is the Tame Impala vocal sound, you know, in the same way like Beach Boys did it, Beatles did it, Fleetwood Mac, you know, whoever. I've got a good sense of rhythm, not so much a good sense of pitch, which is kind of why I think that I've ended up being a voice doubler. Because like you hear stories about Stevie Wonder and like they couldn't double his voice because the pitch was exactly the same. It didn't even sound like a double. It just sounded like louder, which is mind-boggling. But so like I'm not bang on with pitch, but I know the rhythm of, you know, how to sing it and stuff. So I think that works for me. The last little part of the song is like my favorite part. Like to me, that's kind of the most kind of like beautiful part of the song. Going nuts on like all these little sort of like emotional sort of, I was like, you know, I was high on it, you know what I mean? The rest of the song is just me sort of layering different synths. Very, very little Ableton automatey kind of production this song. It's dead simple, which is like something that I really respect. This is the fucking cheesiest thing I'll ever say, and I'm sorry. But like at this point in making the song, like I knew I'd done it. You know, I was like, I've done it. You know? And I don't mean like, I've done it, but it's like, I've given the demo the rest of the song that it deserved, you know? And it was sort of like, I justified to myself why it took me so long. I kind of hate that that's the moral of the story, but this song is sort of a lesson in like waiting, which, you know, whatever. Take it for what it is. But